Hi guys, and welcome to Super Met. So today I am going to be showing you my new brakes on my 010X. So I got this scooter nearly a year ago now, and I've made a few modifications to it. So basically the latest upgrade is some MT5e Magura brakes. I've done the rotors and I've done the calipers, and then obviously you've got new handles as well, new levers. The scooter, except for that, has got RockShox suspension at the back, so no spring. It's got the air suspension, and at the front it's got the standard unit, so that's the 135mm at the front, which is standard to the 0, and at the back this is 165. The brakes are on, they've been fitted, they look awesome, but I haven't actually ridden the scooter properly, so I've given it a quick blast, but I didn't do much more than that. It was really just around the block, just to check they were working and make sure I was happy, and it hasn't been out since. It's also got a steering damper on the front of it. It's got the different clamp or clasp on the front of it here, which you can see isn't done up at the moment because I've been transporting it. The bag on the front, I've got lighting and everything that I've got ready for it, but I just haven't done it. And then it's got a carbon fibre handlebar across the top with obviously the new brake levers attached, and that's about it really. Except for that, it's got a different deck on here, which has been done by Berry Boards, which has got the 0 logo, which I'll show you in a second. And then some grip tape, which is actually lifting up around the edges, so not that successful, the grip tape, except it did stop me from slipping quite comfortably. So let's take a look at the brakes, and I can discuss those a little bit, and then any comments you can just pop it down below. So as you can see, we've got the new caliper on here, new banjos, new screw, new storm discs, and the red anodized bolts. So I go through these bits and then you'll understand what I've done. So basically the original caliper was a nut caliper, was taken off. This cable was removed, sorry, hydraulic line rather, not cable, because these are hydraulic. They've got oil fill, which you bleed out, and then they work like a piston in a car. I wanted these brakes because they are dual piston, so you've got double pistons on each side. So these are actually 4 piston calipers. They're exactly the same as you would find on a small road car. Most cars will have 4 piston caliper, unless it's a very old car and it might have just 2. But it's quite exceptional for something like a scooter to have this. Now obviously these are high power things, got 2 motors, they're 1000 watts each, so they do get a bit of a shift on if you want them to. But I like the design of them. I think the style is great. I think the quality is amazing for Magura. I think you pay the price for them. They're pretty expensive. But let me show you what we did. So this is a new bracket here. This bracket came in from overseas. It's been milled to the correct size. Looks like somebody actually painted this thing. It's amazing. I mean, the finish is rubbish, so I'm going to actually get this one sorted out, and I will get it off at some point and give it a polish up. I may even skin it in carbon fibre so that it looks like the bumpers, which are actually off it at the moment. The caliper itself comes as this unit here, but the banjo, this component here, is actually on the opposite side, so it isn't mounted here. Now obviously that would have been a problem on this scooter, as the brake caliper is on the right hand side, front and rear, and it would have actually rubbed against the wall of a tyre. Obviously braking would have been inefficient, it would have potentially pushed it, bent the disc, and wrecked the tyre at the same time and giving you no stopping power. It even might have been that, I'm not sure on clearance, I think it would have stopped the wheel from actually moving, so it would have been an utterly useless thing to do. So I had to get hold of the new banjo here, which was pretty difficult to get hold of, and I had to get hold of some of the new Magura banjo screws. Now these screws, I have a packet here which you can see. These are the original from Magura. You get a selection of different screws inside the box. I mean, I've got so many here, I don't need them all, but it's got a small hole just ahead of the thread. So when you put them in, as the line has pressure in it, it pushes out through that hole and into the actual caliper itself. So the brakes are held on with, just with this bracket, 2 bolts, just like beforehand on the nut brakes. They are extremely strong. I'm really, really impressed with them. So you've got 2 sets of brake pads inside here, and they brake as you would expect, except they're extremely progressive now. Whereas the nuts were quite on, off. They were more progressive than obviously a normal brake, but this really makes a difference. And the rotor helps an awful lot as well. Now, I thought the rotor being 160 millimeters, I thought was going to be too big and was going to cause issues, but actually I don't think it is. Obviously it's early days. I've only ridden it for a very short space of time, but I don't foresee any problems really. There's actually enough clearance between the floor and the base of a disc. So I'm quite happy with that. I will take it slightly more easily. And obviously if you're really bombing along and then you jumped, say, this tyre will squidge up, it will compress, and I suppose could cause you an issue if you had a ruck on the ground, something that it could hit this rotor. But generally I'm road riding, so I'm not overly concerned about it. So I also did the screws, so I put in new toughened screws, much harder material, much nicer than the original ones that came out of China. These have been anodized in red. They don't match this, but I thought, you know, why not? I'll do red. These little caps, these sort of neon yellow or green or yellowy green dust caps, they just clip in, so you can pull them out with a screwdriver. You can change them over. I've got blue, red, this color, and silver as well, and I think I've got some black ones kicking around. Except for that, the install was fairly easy. These get bled down here, and they get bled up at the lever as well, but they seem very, very nice. I mean, the materials that are used, the quality, it really is very different to nuts. Nut brakes are good, don't get me wrong. I think they're a very good budget brake, but these are the Rolls Royce of bicycle scooter brakes, and that's why I went for them. Obviously mated up with the rock shocks, I spent quite a lot of money on the Monarch RL 165mm shock as well. That was expensive. That was nearing £200, which obviously is quite a lot. And then I beefed up the washers in here and the bearings so that I didn't have any play, and that's worked really, really well. I've only actually gassed that once in 7 months now, and it hasn't gone down in any way, and I can still firm it up. So that just shows the cheaper shocks that I had originally. I was gassing it literally on a weekly basis, and this has held its air for 7 months. So I'm very impressed. The front caliper, you can see pretty standard setup. It's actually utilizing the original components that were on the scooter, which is great, because it meant I didn't have to get extra brackets and worry about it. Again, 4 pistons. It's got the color-coded caps which have been put into it. Banjo has been swapped over, and then your hydraulic cable coming up here. Very, very nice fitment, no issues. Front was super easy to put on, took no time at all, and just run this cable back up. And obviously a bit of flex in this cable so that when you're turning, you don't actually have issues with this snagging, pulling, and then ripping out the actual screw. So then this is the new 160 Storm XL rotor on the front. And again, I did the anodized nuts, so I replaced those at the same time. So you can see up here, these are the levers. So these are made out of, it's basically a plastic, but they had some funny name for it. So it's like a sort of a composite material that they've used. So they're apparently strong, but they've got a nice tactile feel to them. They are obviously beautifully finished off. You've got the nice Magura logo in here, and you can see it's one of the E brakes. So it cuts your, effectively the power off to the motors when you pull it, and you can just feel it click, but the motor is, you can hear it just about, I don't know if you can hear that. Tiny little micro switch, and as you're pulling it, it's literally the smallest amount of, you can see I'm literally just pulling it. If I do it with my little finger here, you can see it clicks, and that is disconnecting the motor at that point. And then they're very progressive. They've got a nice feel. You can change the amount of travel with the screws on the back of it, but I've got them set up where I like it, and I've got to say they do feel extremely nice, and I don't have sort of any issues with these at all so far. So you can see the other one is absolutely identical. They're just obviously, they're flipped around for whichever side you're going to use. They can be turned over as well, but they feel extremely high quality. Everything about them just feels nice. I mean, the parts inside you can see have been done properly. Everything has been milled, everything has been machined beautifully, and the structure is lovely. To actually bleed them, you undo this screw here, and then you put in something called royal blood, which is a special type of brake fluid specifically for this particular scooter. So yeah, overall very, very happy. I mean, I know they're a lot of money. I mean, these are getting on for I would say £400 by the time you've actually bought the brakes, you've done the rotors, maybe some extra screws like the banjo here. This was quite expensive, and other small items, but yeah, they are costly. But this will give me superior power so that I can actually use the motors properly and I don't need to worry quite so much. But that is my 010X again, which you guys have now seen quite a bit. And I need to get it out and about, but it's a terrible day, very foggy, and it's drizzling, so I won't be taking it out today. Guys, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate the subscriptions I'm getting and the views and the hours of watching. So please do tune in, please subscribe. If you like the video, smash that, that like button and hit the bell icon, then you'll get all the new content that's coming in. We're going to have some other scooters out and about shortly. I believe I'm going to be going out on the VSET 9 Plus, which I think for me is one of the true brilliant commuter scooters. So that's going to be coming out, and that's from PET in London in Leighton. So if you guys need anything, you need servicing, you need any parts, or you want to buy a Zero scooter, PET is the main dealer in the UK for Zero. So please go and see them. They also are the main dealer in the UK for VSET. So they've got the 10 Plus in now, I believe, and they've got more en route. They've got the 9 Plus coming. They also do the unicycle, which I think is quite a big thing, and they keep trying to get me on, but I am not going on a unicycle. I will die instantly. I will stick to fast cars, and I'll stick to my scooter for now. Take care, be careful out there, and ride safely, and speak to you all soon.
Yeah. Started from the mud, now you see us going up. Numbers never lie, now you see us blowing up. People used to front, now you see them showing up. So what's up? I've been down and out, but look, keep it a buck, I don't